I think for me that the issue with polling, right, is the fact that it's bullshit and it's not science. That exactly what you just said. You can ask a question in a certain way to a certain group of people at a certain type of day, change those factors, and you're going to get an entirely different answer, right? And so I think that there was a lot of stock ahead of 2016 that was put into polling, right? And if the polls had been right, Hillary Clinton would have been our president, and we would have never been in any of the situations that we find ourselves in now after 4 years under Donald Trump, but really 7 when you think about the span of time that he has now been a part of our political culture. That wouldn't have happened. And so these days, and it was, the midterm elections in 2018, the presidential in 2020, it was the same messed up polling that told us one thing, and then what the outcome is completely different. And I have said, I don't trust polling. What I trust are what people do, not what they say that they're going to do. And that's the problem with how polling is done. I do think, though, that to some extent, it provides, when asked in the right way to the right groups of people, it provides a snapshot into where people are and what they care about. But the reality, too, is, and we've talked about this, Jen, so many times, that Democrats need to go where people are. And I think that what we realized in this race is that they gave up in Ohio. They didn't go and support Tim Ryan whatsoever, right? He used it, in a smart way to try and advance, I don't need them. I just need you all, my constituents. But he lost, right? And
why did they not? Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
No. I don't know. Why would they not support it? I have no idea. Right? But it's the same thing. Why didn't the apparatus, why weren't they in North Carolina in the same way? Why weren't they in Florida in the same way? I think that Democrats concede way too much and just give up on states and say, oh, they're red, or, oh, they're this. It's improbable, so we're just going to move on. And, to that point, since, what's his name? Who was the one that had the 50-state strategy with the DNC? The only person that had the 50-state strategy.
Vermont?
Yeah, why can't I remember his name?
Howard Dean?
Howard Dean. Howard Dean has been the only person from 1,000,000 years ago that said, we're moving with a 50-state strategy. Since Howard Dean's exit, there has been no strategy like that. Democrats have decided that they're just going to invest in these certain little places right up at the election, but no investment 364 other days of the year. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah. I think also a huge part of the problem is missing the Gen Z wave was coming. And it's also important, you say go to where people are. It's also listen to people, because I've got a 15-year-old and I'm talking to them and, I'm saying, you're 15, so how important is abortion rights? And my kid gave me, a talking to, and it was like, look, kids my age, just out of middle school, high school, are more worried about school shootings. It's more likely you're going to get killed in school than have an unwanted pregnancy, is how they say. I was like, oh. And of course, we live in Massachusetts, so you can probably get the morning after pill or whatever, or medication abortion or whatever. The point is, and I saw this in Frederick Joseph put a tweet out this morning, Gen Z, he kind of echoed my kid, Gen Z has been doing school shooting drills for years. And now you're going to tell them they can't read the books they like or be gay if they want to be. They're not going to put up with that. What are you offering, Gen Z? And they see through the Republican Party. And I think once you hook people on voting, they're going to recruit the next generation. Those Gen Z kids, I've got one kid who's 22 and one who's 15. My 15-year-old, half their life has been the Trump menace. In 2015, when he was, right? And just think about these kids.
Yeah.
And they don't like it. It's always, and I know there are exceptions and so on, but it's the kids who are my kids' age who want a multiracial democracy. I mean, I'm Gen X, and that's what I thought we wanted. And then I see how the Gen X people vote, but I realize maybe my world's different than other white people. But it's like, what is the work that we need to do ahead? And you and I were talking earlier on Mary's show on messaging that made sense. And, maybe you can talk about your messaging here, but I feel like, if we can carry that to every constituency and they use the word and say what it means to them, and we'll soon find out that it's only the Democratic Party who can guarantee for us that we won't have all of our rights trampled on by these fascists. So that's important, I think, to everybody. And the more we can communicate that, I think, and like you're saying, not just, a week before the election, but in every way in all of our communities, it would make a huge difference.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I have been trying to understand, and folks who listen to me know part of my background is in PR and in media and all of these things. And, so what Democrats miss, I think, is that they have to sell, right? They have to sell a product. And where we have been is that we are high-minded and we just want people to be born with empathy. We want people to be born believing that, everyone is deserving and have equity as their compass. And that is not the thing. And so I said, if anything were to come out of this midterm elections, which now gives us this feeling of possibility, is freedom, right? There is one party that is fighting for your freedom. Freedom to love, freedom to live, freedom to learn, freedom to have healthcare, like freedom to exist, right? There's one party, freedom to vote, freedom to marry. Like there is one freedom to have bodily autonomy. There's only one party.
Right.
So why have we allowed ourselves to have that word, freedom, liberty, and patriotism co-opted by a party that does the complete opposite of the definition of those words?
Absolutely. And part of I think the way it works is they have these scare tactics. The billionaires say, oh, if they want to tax me more, they're going to do the same to you. No, there are greedy people who are hoarding power, hoarding freedom, hoarding money, hoarding access. They want more than their share. And so it's like, freedom for me, not for you. It's like the opposite of like Leona Helmsley said, taxes are for the little people. Repression is for the little people.
Mm-hmm.
Denial of access is for the little people. These folks, their girlfriends get all the abortions they want. They have all the money they want. They're not, it's like such projection. They are so greedy that they have to, it's like the Republicans are kind of like the Elon Musks of the world. It's like, I paid too much for this company. I paid $44 billion and that was dumb. So instead of doing a strategic plan that would help the company maybe do something different with advertising, I'm going to crush the employees. I'm going to crush the people who use it. I'm going to blow the whole thing up. It's like, and that's kind of like the sort of whole thing that they do, the Republican theory about trickle-down economics. You can name it. None of it's a great idea. But because of all their idea, they have an idea of scarcity.
Yes.
And they impose the scarcity. There's plenty. We're the richest nation in the world. We have really smart, capable people. If we invest in our communities, if we love each other, if we let people be who they are, freedom can be what everything we mean it to be. Right?
Yeah. I think that, and I've been saying this as well, Democrats come from a place of abundance. Obama's very successful, 8 years of the presidency was around the idea that there is more than enough for everyone. There was, yes, we can, right?
Yes,
because we are an abundant, society of people who believe in the values that this country has. And so all you need to do is lift that up and then consistently bang that message into the wall, into every place, into every avenue. With the couple of minutes that we have left, Jen, I do want to get, what were the races for you that were surprising, that you were like, oh my God, as the numbers were coming in, you were like, yes, yes, yes. What were those races?
I guess I would say, 3 different things. First, even though I thought Fetterman was going to win, it just felt so damn good.
So good.
And I guess as someone someone said, I guess the drive back to New Jersey was pretty sad for Oz last night. The Schadenfreude. I think the surpriser, and we still don't know the outcome, is maybe Lauren Boebert has been kicked out of Congress.
Yep.
And that just makes me have all the good feels. On another sort of personal level, because I grew up in the Midwest, I grew up in Michigan, seeing Gretchen Whitmer, win there, seeing Michigan flip its whole legislature to Democrats. It hasn't been under Democratic control since 1983 when I was in high school, like shortly before I moved away from home. And it's like, hey, this is incredible. And also them, everything happening in Michigan is super exciting. I consider that place a bellwether state, and I'm seeing what happens there. So those were all exciting. And then me personally here, I live in Massachusetts, seeing Maura Healey, who I knew was going to win, that she's the first woman elected to govern of Massachusetts. We had someone else who was a lieutenant governor step up, and that she's a lesbian in that role. So good. She's amazing. She was an incredible attorney general and a very good prosecutor before that. I spoke to her when she was running for AG, and she was very polite. I was talking about the housing crisis because I was writing about that. When you meet people one-on-one and they're nice to you and you can't do anything for them and have a real conversation with you, it's like that says it all to me. So those were the things that kind of made me happy.